So yeah, it's a pleasure to be able to talk to you, and congratulations on the film, of course.
Thank you.
This is quite a deep and thematic breakdown of the conflict and hate caused through forbidden love. So I was wondering, what did the moment look like for you when you read the script or got the pitch and thought, this is something I want to be a part of and something I can add to?
I think very simple response to the screenplay for me was how fascinating that this triangle of people make choices in their youth which forever link them. And also those choices mean that their lives are going to be lived in a certain way profoundly. And I think then the dynamic that there is a catalyst to bring those people together again 40 years later to try and perhaps examine what happened in the past. I think those elements of the script made me feel like this is very exciting to explore.
I think that sounds great. And of course, this is based on a book, and I won't lie, I haven't read the book, but if you have, how important was it for you to get your character right and working with director Michael Grandage to translate that from page to script to screen?
What's interesting is our screenplay, like any screenplay of an adaptation of a book, is a distillation. And I thought that the elements, the distillation of our screenplay was really good. Once I'd read the book, I thought that's a very clever way to extract the narrative, the main narrative thread, and put it into this format for the screen. And so I thought that was a really encouraging thing. But also sometimes what happens when you read a book, if you're doing a project based on a book, is it might give you the odd detail which helps. It may not come to the fore, but it just kind of gives you a bit of support or affirmation in some of the choices you might make.
Of course, you've got a great team behind you to help bring this project to life. And you played the older versions of Harry Styles and Emma Corrin's characters. I'm just wondering, did you get any advice from them on how to sort of stay true to what they brought to the character while adding something of your own to them?
What was interesting is because it was shot in 2021, we had COVID protocols in place.
Of course.
So we couldn't, be together. And the 1950 stuff, most of that was shot first. So as the older counterparts, we could take a look at some of the younger counterparts. We had maybe 3 or 4 scenes that we could look at. And we also talked to one another, and we had a couple of Zoom meetings. And so that's how we put it together.
That sounds great. Was there any particularly challenging scenes more so for you to do? Because of course your character does go through quite a lot during this film.
Yes, it's interesting. Even some of the more, how can I put it, everyday scenes have their challenges, because essentially for the older 3, they are in a confined space where they have been forced, even if they're trying to avoid, they are now forced to face things that they've avoided for decades. And so even when seemingly an everyday scene is happening, it's fueled by this energy, the elephant in the room, if you like. They've got to address it. And so even though there's everyday things happening, there's an undercurrent which is very vibrant.
Awesome. And finally, before we have to wrap things up, I just want to sneak in this final question. Is there any advice you can offer to someone going through a similar situation to Patrick in this movie?
My hope is that since the 1950s, there are more organizations, and we have all learned a huge amount more, and we've all got more opportunities to hopefully live the lives and have the loves that we would like. But when Patrick and Tom, and in fact Marion, in the 1950s, they were on their own. They didn't have that support, they didn't have that education, and they didn't have those role models that we have now.
I think that's absolutely true. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. My Policeman hits Prime Video on November 4th, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. It's lovely to meet you.
Thank you.